Hey everyone, this is Todd Nichols from Cavalier Ford Greenbrier in Chesapeake, Virginia. We're going to do a comparison today. We're going to start with the F-150, America's #1 selling truck for over 40 years now. I'm going to compare it against the Silverado today, which you see over here. So I'm going to cover a couple of things real quick with you. I'm going to go over some trim level lines for you, go over some different models of the F-150 as well. Okay? So we start this out, this particular one, like we said, is an XLT. We start with actually the XL, and we work up through the 101 packages, which are your STX packages, which are your sport appearance packages, and then we get to the XLT, which starts at a 300 package to a 301, and this particular one is a 302 package with a special edition. And one thing you can tell with that is, on this 302, everything is monochromatic. As you see the grille, black honeycomb style grille, the color key bumpers, special 20-inch wheels with that graphite texture to them and in color. And then you'll see the striping package on the side of the F-150. There's a lot of things in the F-150 that we have to go over because this truck is made in so many different configurations. On top of the XLT, you also have the Lariat models as well. Then you have the King Ranch models, the Platinums, and then you also have the limited edition model as well. So, you know, being the best-selling truck out there is not an easy job. You have a lot of different configurations, a lot of different models to choose from as well. With the F-150, we have multiple engine options on this vehicle. We have actually the 2.7-liter EcoBoost, we have the 3.5-liter EcoBoost, the 5-liter V8, we also have a 3.3-liter V6. So you actually have 4 engine configurations you can use on the F-150. So it gives you, power for whatever you're using it for work, pleasure, any of those things. So when we look at the F-150, obviously you have your color of choice. There's a lot of different colors and configurations on this vehicle. But this particular one we have here today, like I said, is an XLT Special Edition. And this vehicle is a crew cab, 145-inch wheelbase, which has a 5.5-foot bed. You can also get this configuration in a 157-inch wheelbase, which is a 6.5-foot box. One of the key features about the F-150, this vehicle typically is about 700 pounds lighter just in body materials than its comparisons, such as the Ram, such as the Silverado, such as the Tundra, the Titan, and those model vehicles. So it has all aluminum body panels on this vehicle. If you hear this, walk up to the side of it here, you hear this. A little different from when I go and hit that Silverado in a few minutes, and you can see what it has, okay? This particular one comes standard with the actual running boards on this vehicle in this particular package, bed rail caps, and a dual-walled bed, which means that on the outside, of course, if anything hits on the inside, Chevrolet likes to have that joke in the Silverado, and they dump bricks in the back, and of course it cuts through the aluminum, but this is a double-walled bed. That means that nothing's going to puncture the outside of this bed because it has a dual lining. Silverado doesn't have that. Some of the competition doesn't have those same things. You see big tail lights on the F-150. There's sensors back here on this particular model, the 302, which has park assist, which helps you as far as backing. You have backup sensors, side sensors that help you as far as parking this vehicle when there's something around you. You can see the sensors in the back bumper here. You also have a Class 4 hitch on this vehicle, which has that rating I talked about. Properly equipped, it can tow over 11,000 pounds. Back here you also see you have the backup camera on this particular vehicle, which is standard on that 302 model. Also this particular one here has a tailgate step in the back as well that slides out. Very easy to get to, folds right into the actual tailgate of this vehicle. Okay. Also talked about dual lining. If you look at the side of this bed here, you'll see the dual lining inside, where if something hit the side of this thing in the ribs, it's not actually going to puncture the outside of the aluminum on the outside of the bed. This one also has the LED box lighting, which is an option. That's a very nice feature here lately, because a lot of times you have things in the bed of your truck that you really can't see things, so that bed lighting makes a big difference. It really gets the visibility in the back. Very nice. One thing about aluminum as well, if you look at that tailgate, okay, all aluminum, very easy to close, not a big heavy tailgate, has an assist as well as shutting, folding down. It closes very easily. This particular model in this special edition has the FX4 off-road package. So when you look at this particular package on this XLT, like I told you, there's a lot of different packages. From the XLT that has the chrome bumpers, to the FX4 models, to the special edition like this particular vehicle is. Everything's monochromatic. FX4 off-road package. Very nice feature. FX4 off-road package, oh, by the way, gives you an upgraded shock, gives you a steering stabilizer, also gives you the skid plates underneath the truck as well for that off-road capability. Notice one more thing in the back of the window back here as we're walking around. Has the power sliding rear window in the back of this vehicle. That's another feature of the 302A package in the XLT that gives you that package standard in this truck. If you look at the shocks down here, I'm going to show you a couple things. We talked about the 20-inch wheels. This particular model here in the XL2 302 comes also with a mud terrain tire. So it's an upgraded tire in this particular vehicle. And also, if you look there, you'll see the shocks are an outboard shock. And what that does with the stiffness of this actual chassis in this vehicle, because it has a very high payload ratio. It actually has the highest payload of its class compared to the Silverado, the Ram, and also the Titan and Tundras as well. So the F-150 has a little more stiffer ride, and those outboard shocks help as far as the stability of this truck and how it hits bumps and things like that. So it also has a special interior. This is a sport appearance package on the inside. When we start the F-150, this is a 302A package, 4-wheel drive, has the 8-inch screen as you can see on the dash here, has navigation in this package as well. This particular model also has a panoramic vista roof in this vehicle. This is going to be like a class exclusive for Ford. That roof goes all the way back, but it really opens the truck up inside. When you look in the F-150, this particular one has the 40 console 40 interior, the 40 console 40, which is the seats with the bucket seats, and it has the center shift in this vehicle. A lot of times you look at the old style trucks have that shift on the column, which people actually hate that sometimes, but you know, of course Ford has the option. This vehicle is also hooked up with a 10-speed automatic transmission, hooked to that 3.5, and it also has a 355 actual gear ratio, which makes this truck a monster as far as driving. It's got plenty of power, can tow plenty of weight, and it'll surprise you when it comes to performance. I've been very surprised myself. I'm going to show you the Silverado here. Yeah, it's a used one, it's a little bit older, but it doesn't make any difference. They haven't changed anything on their trucks for quite some time when it comes to Chevrolet, okay? So it's going to actually be a very easy comparison. Quite frankly, I was a little longer on the F-150 than the Silverado because it just doesn't have as much. It just doesn't stack up to the F-150. It's an LT2 Silverado. Yeah, it's a nice truck. It's got aluminum wheels on it. It's got running boards on it. It is a crew cab. You'll notice the door's a little bit short on the Silverado because there's just not as much back seat room in this vehicle. If I was comparing this to a Ram, or I was comparing this to a Tundra, very similar specs as far as how the cab is set up. They just don't stack up to the F-150 because you know the F-150 is way ahead of its time. Typically, most of the time, they're always pioneering new things in the F-150 to kind of set it apart from these little trucks. 41 years says a lot. So if you look at the Silverado, we talked about the aluminum bodies and things like that, and the weight difference, and how that can help you save in fuel economy. But you hit the side of this truck, what does it sound like? Very tinny, right? Steel. You hear that? Composite in the door. So I got steel up front, composites in the door, and a metal bed. Like I was saying, it's got a recyclable body for the most part. You got a little bit of composite, you got a little bit of steel back here. You know, they dump the bricks in the back. They always show that on TV. And I'm telling you now, if you dump bricks in the back of this vehicle, it's gonna leave some dents and some scratches, just like it will on the F-150. That's what they make spraying liners for. But, you know, that's a pretty bad comparison, being this vehicle doesn't hold nowhere near the capability payload as far as the F-150 goes. Power plant wise on the Silverado, it's a little short. They offer, you know, a 5.3 liter V8. They do offer a bigger motor, of course, and the up there a little bit in the 6.2 liter. You know, they don't have any 6s. They don't have EcoBoost technology. Hey, the Ford F-150 this year even has a diesel motor in that vehicle. It has a 3-liter diesel built by Ford that's available. It just came to the showroom. You need to come and check it out as well. That's another engine option I didn't even talk about in the last one. But you look at the fenders on this vehicle, on this, a lot of problems with Chevrolets, typically rust out in the fenders. They hold a lot of water because this is a U-channel type fender well. Front and rear, as far as that U-channel. Really doesn't give you the good turning radius. Looks a little cumbersome on the vehicle as far as how it forms. Just doesn't look that good. The F-150 has big open wheel wells. If you lift that vehicle, put an oversized tire on it, really makes a difference. Now, we talked about payload and towing. Well, the Silverado doesn't come anywhere close to this vehicle when it comes to towing. It doesn't have the power plants available. For that matter, it doesn't have the payload available, nor the GVWR that it needs to carry the weight to tow what the F-150 tows. With this, you have the hitch back here as well, which is a Class 4 hitch, just like on the F-150, but it's actually mounted to the undercarriage of the vehicle. It has a frame mount piece of metal, comes off the frame obviously, and the way it's bolted on there, it bolts to the bumper and this part of this frame. It actually looks like it's kind of fabricated to make it fit. Not a towing type vehicle from any means at all. These 17-inch wheels in this particular model, Chevrolet doesn't really get very involved as far as making the appearance of their trucks look any better. Actually, quite frankly, they're pretty plain. You know, Tundra does some different things. You know, the Ram does some pretty cool things. They got a new body style out, which is pretty sharp, but they're still not up to the technology. Their 19 Ram is still not up to the technology of the F-150. If you look at the frame of this vehicle, very limited as far as hydroforming. No cross-through welds. Inboard shocks makes this vehicle very choppy in how it handles things and doesn't handle the payload very well at all. And also ground clearance. That's a big thing on these trucks. You know, Ford has over 8 inches of ground clearance stock on their trucks. Yeah, you're less than that on a Silverado. Quite frankly, it sits pretty low. I don't know about you, but when you're going off-road with a Z71 and a Silverado, I think you might want to have some skid plates, some ground clearance so that you can get over those hills, dunes, get up in those trails. They just don't get it. They don't understand it. Inside the Silverado, as you see, pretty plain on the inside. This particular model we picked out is an LT, but no roof. It does have a bench seat with a 40-20-40 bench. In the dash, honestly, it's pretty plain. This particular one, like I said, is a pre-owned one. They haven't changed the dash very much. You know, the past few years, they have made a bigger cluster so they can put their screen in it, which is not as big as the F150s, and a lot of plastic inside, shifter on the column still. Yeah, they just lag behind when it comes to technology and the features that customers are looking for. That's why it's not the best-selling truck over 41 years. Remember, we're at 1515 South Military Highway in Chesapeake at Greenbrier. Come on and down and see myself. I'm Todd Nichols. Already seen in the sales agents here, they have plenty of experience in the F-150s and these walk-arounds and these comparisons. Cavalier, serving customers for life.